Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the OK Grognard Show. It is Friday, May 15th, 2020, 9:30 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Being Friday, we're going to talk about building virtual tabletop adventures. That is, building adventures that are set up to be used with virtual tabletop. In particular, I use Roll20. I used to use a Discord chat, although more recently I've just been trying to use the native voice and video chat that are set up within Roll20. They seem to have the bugs worked out in those, so it seems easier to just use the one program rather than to try to use two programs at the same time. I'd been working with a map that was created by Dyson Logos. I'm a Patreon supporter of his, and if you aren't, you should be. The original map that he put out is this Ashrin Spire map. As you can see, it's pretty complete. It's a nice 4-story tower. Well, 3 stories plus a roof, I guess. There's an extension off of the first floor, which acts as an entryway and a covered staircase that enters the tower above ground level by a little bit. What I've done is taken that and imported it with some adjustments made to it, because one of our regulars, Lost Nomad, was in the chat stream at the time. I opted to change the name to as an homage to our individual follower. If you're on Twitch, please do follow the channel and speak up during the chat during the stream, because that gets you automatically entered into a weekly giveaway. This is week 7 in our ongoing series of streams, and what we currently have on offer is a set of Thaddeus Moore's excellent patches, old school Renaissance patches. They're pretty fantastic. I'll show those a little later. What I did last week was get this tower ready and set up the first level. I'll show that to you now. As you can see, that is the ground floor. I adjusted the orientation so that what we would have would be more similar to this side view of the tower. As you can tell from Dyson's original, it was turned 90 degrees clockwise, I'm sure in part to fit it a little more easily onto a single image, single printable page image, and that makes good sense. What I've done is turned it back the other way so that when someone sees this image and we move them into the first floor, the orientation is somewhat similar. I've thrown some cobalts down on the GM's layer. Those will be hidden from the players when they enter, and then of course you can bring those up to the token layer to reveal them. If we go then to the object layer, they can be selected and used. I'll move them back down to the GM layer for now, so they're hidden from the players when they're first encountering this space, this room. So I got this far last week, and then in between I got the other floors set up. And notice what I did with this is I changed the orientation, but I also wanted this information readily available, so I threw it in there. And of course I want Dyson Logos' logo on the maps so that they're credited for him. I did the same with the third level. Again, twisting it so that everything matches up nicely. And I set up the fourth level. I added an additional page which the DM can use for reference. Of course, the sizing on it's going to be quite different. I wanted all the others to be set up so they can be easily used during the game. So those are all set up so they all fit on a single page and all are visible when playing the game. In this case, I think 100% works pretty well for these. Let's see if this largest one, yep, they all fit quite nicely. So that's the top of the spire, accessible by this winding staircase. So there's a few things that we want to consider when getting this set up for actual gameplay. If you're not going to use dynamic lighting, you probably want to create some ways of hiding the different rooms until they're encountered. One of the ways to do that would be to use this shape draw tool and just create some blocks. Probably want them filled in. You can fill them in with anything you want. It's got to be selected when you make those changes. Like that. Now of course we can still see what's on the GM layer below. And you'd want it set up in such a way that it covers everything you want hidden. You can just make it black, or you can make it at least opaque. Use multiple colors. Use one or more. You don't have to keep making new pieces. You can just make one more. You want to be able to see doorways. And these you can leave. On the object layer. Notice how once we remove that, we'd be able to see where the doorway is everything in the room and more about the space itself. We want to be able to see the doorway from the outside, so we could do something like that. We can create yet another piece. Just push that over so we still see where the doorway is. So once that's removed, this would be hidden. We could cheat a little bit over top of the interior wall. Once we remove that, we see the room. We can see where the doorways are. So I'm not saying this is ideal, but if you don't want to mess around with dynamic lighting, for instance, let's say you are working just with the free version, then this is potentially an option for you. It's an awkward one. It's not ideal, but until you get set up with a paid account in the dynamic lighting, then you're kind of working with what you have. Obviously, until this area is uncovered, then those should be hidden, right? They've seen the tower from the outside, so you don't have to worry too much about whether or not you've got stuff hidden on the outside, right? But you can give them this hallway, right? So too, you can create another spot. Oh, we got a doorway there. Go halfway across it. Roll that out. We can copy that. Paste it again. Create it there. This is hidden. That's okay. We could do another spot here. Roll it on down. Move it on over. Right to there. That way, once we've removed this, we see the doorway. We don't know where it goes. So this is sort of a trick, sort of a cheat in a way, right? It does what you need it to do. I've used this method of covering maps at the actual game table when I've worked with pre-made maps. The one of the things I've done, and let me see if I can find an example of that. Let's see, 5E. Starter set quest. So back in August of 2014, when I was adjusting my group, we decided we were going to give 5E a try when it first came out. We picked up the starter set, and we're playing face-to-face. With the castle, was easy enough to draw it as we go because of all the unusual shapes. But in that first encounter, if you're not familiar with 5E and don't want any spoilers, watch out, because they're coming. So what I did for that was I just made the major rooms and did them individually, and then connecting hallways I would just draw on as necessary. That made it pretty simple to show them what was hidden as things went, as they were explored and discovered in later encounters in the adventure. I did something like this, which is to put it together, paste it all onto foam board. Actually, what I did was I used blue tape, blue painter's tape, which allowed me to reuse the boards later, but it, fastened them for the time being. But I had created the entire adventure on multiple pieces of foam board, and then at the table I just covered it up with sheets of cardstock and would reveal it as they explored. Some cheap dollar store flies with the underlying bases removed so that they were just clear plastic, and then used a couple of washes to. I utilized those for sturges, but I had used those in another adventure as what I was calling giant ice flies. They did the trick. But you can see, you can move these sheets around to make sure that they can, if they're looking down this way, they can see there's a hallway there. They don't know how far it goes, though. They get to the doorway. They know where that ends. Some of these I taped down as they were starting to curl up a little bit. Again, not ideal. Notice how that cuts off just over top. So they can see there's a doorway. They don't know what's behind it or how far it goes until they go through it, explore it. There's a pencil sharpener used as a foot locker, standing in case they wanted to move that around or utilize it in some way. In this case, just some sheets covering up areas that they hadn't explored yet. Notice the double door there. They're aware that this is a room because they see a wall built in. The rest of this is caverns, and then there's a finished wall. So they know. Ooh, crazy. Look out. I used a beholder miniature for that, but I think that was a spectator. Is that what they're called? And of course, once that room's been explored and uncovered, they know what's going on in there. Killing a bunch of, was it hobgoblins in that adventure? I believe it was. Bugbears, maybe? Or these were orcs and then bugbears. I like to use Gamorrean guards to stand in for orcs because I'm a fan of the style of pig-faced orcs. Oh, they were in trouble. But happy about it. Minotaur. So you can see, it's fun to get these set up in advance so you can deal with them. I made some changes to these in Photoshop so that this would be easier to navigate, rather easier to utilize during gameplay. And that's the goal, right? Is to make things run smoothly during a game. And essentially that's what you're doing with this. Set it up when the players come and they open this door. You can just get rid of that, delete it, move it off to the side, and move it down to the GM layer where it's only visible to you, so you can go and get it later if you want to. But it's down there, and that's all good. Go back to the object layer. Once they've gone into this, once they've opened the door and seen that, those would become visible. So you would go to your GM layer, gather up the creatures that are there, move them up to the token layer, run your encounter. They know about the door over there. You tell them about these desk and a chair and a shelf, bookshelf, whatever. Obviously, descriptions or more detailed descriptions of those have to be foregone until after the encounter happens. Once they've dealt with that encounter and opened this door, you uncover that. There's a door across the way, stairway up, another door. So you get to uncover it piecemeal as you go. And that works pretty well in a pinch. So this is just a quick and dirty method. We'll get into other methods of doing this by way of dynamic lighting and that sort of thing down the line. Oops, we should probably, the object layer, move those guys back to the GM layer, cover that back up, reset the stage. We're all set to go again. All right, so that's just a quick part 2. Today is the 15th. This will be run is it next weekend? I want to say Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? Okay. We'll get going with that. All right. Good little video. We'll leave it short. We'll leave it easy. We'll take a quick look at the schedule. 23rd, 24th, 25th of May. So next Friday, we'll have one more video, virtual tabletop building. We'll discuss a little bit more. This is a tower adventure. So what we've been putting together there is part of this adventure here. There are the elements that we'll be using in those. I've purposefully not been revealing much more beyond. It's not necessarily going to be kobolds. It's a 3rd level adventure. We have to have something that is worthy of our adventurers to be tackling. But if you're not busy, Con of Champions next weekend, sign up for it now. There's more events being added all the time. And yeah, Lost Nomad has popped in. Is this the tower? You're just showing the one you're using and tackling the tower games. It is the tower I'll be using. But I am purposefully avoiding. Hey there, Artigal Justicar. This is the tower I'll be using, although I'm purposefully not revealing in these videos what the actual encounters will be. So even though I show a little example there of potential encounters, that's not what the players will be running into. Now, I want to avoid spoilers for sure. The Friday after that weekend, I'll go into a lot more detail. That'll be the 29th, 2 weeks from today. I'll be able to do little walkthroughs of each of those virtual tabletop adventures and be able to give more details. This is just a sort of preliminary what you can do to set these up so you can run them in one way or another. Looking at the schedule, as I always do, we did our VTT adventure building today, tomorrow. We'll be checking out episode 8, the Dungeons and Dragons animated series, with a look at it from a DM perspective, doing a bit of a running review. On Sunday, we'll continue with DM Prada's excellent document for our rules retrospective. We'll be covering distances, how to deal with distances when encounters begin after you've dealt with surprise and before the actual encounter gets underway. Monday, weekly news and the giveaway announcement. I'll just double check real quick and make sure that I've got Article Justicar and Lost Nomad both on the drawing, the list for the drawing for week 7, which is those great patches from Thaddeus Moore. Thank you both for jumping in the chat today. Tuesday, cartography and world building. We'll be working on Tuesday, I think, a bit on the Jonathan L. Bingham map and populating what is a pretty cool little adventure idea that I came up with. It goes into his shared world project that he's been working on. He gave me a sort of a schoolyard challenge of, do you want to get involved in this? And I said, well, do you have a map? And, well, what kind of map? He said. I said, well, throw me something unusual. And this is certainly unusual. I'll discuss a bit about what's going into this, but it's quite bizarre. So that's what we're looking at for Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll do some campaign discussion. The regular Tuesday game's on a bit of a hiatus until after Con of Champions, so that I can devote more time to getting those 6 first edition AD&D Adventures prepped and ready. Thursday, crafting and painting. We started painting some siege engines, WizKids catapults from their pre-primed deep cuts line. That's already coming along pretty nicely. I'll have some more on that next Thursday, and coming up in the not too distant future, I've got a pile of doors also from those and some other sources that I'm looking to put together to paint. The pre-prime ones are ready to go. If I have a chance to prime some of the other things I want to work on, including some trapdoors I was showing off a couple of weeks ago that I got from the UK, we'll deal with those too. And then we're back around to next Friday, where we'll give a final pre-Con of Champions look at putting together some adventures. I think we'll probably want to deal with the taverns and the street brawl and kind of show off how those are going to work in essence without giving away any spoilers. So thank you to everybody who's jumped on in. We'll keep this down to about a half hour today, since we don't want to give away too much before Con of Champions. Thank you very much. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Don't forget to like the video or dislike it. It's all good. If you're interested in jumping in the Twitch channel during the live stream, please do follow the channel and speak up in the chat. That'll put you into the weekly drawing automatically. No purchase necessary. There's always something good. If you're in the 48 contiguous states, of course, we'll just ship that to you on us. If it's outside of the states, then might have to ask you for a little help with the shipping charges. It can get a little expensive, and quite honestly, the cost of that, well, we don't want the show to cost us money. We're really only doing this so we can keep track of the days of the week. Well, thank you very much. Have a great day. And if I don't catch up with you until after, have a great weekend.